Welcome to our kitchen. My name's Tracy.
Hello, my name's Hayley.
And today we have developed for your pleasure a beautiful gluten-free pizza. Have we not, Hayley?
Yes.
Yes, and we're doing
Delicious.
it vegetarian as well. So I'm just going to take the base is actually made of sweet potato. I'm going to take that off the stove because we want that warm. Not
We don't want it hot.
cold.
We don't want it cold. Warm is ideal.
So I've just steamed some potatoes over here. So I'll take those off.
And while Mum's doing that, I'm going to start preparing just the toppings. We do have a base that we prepared earlier. This is what it looks like. It's lovely and crispy on the outside. And as Mum said in one of her Facebook posts, it gives it sort of like a hot chippy taste. It's lovely having the outside a bit crispy.
Caramelized. Yep.
It's, there is a bit of bend to it, but I don't know if this is sort of a good way to show you what sort of consistency you want it to be, because it needs to be firm enough to hold up the toppings.
So it's not one that we've just bought from the shops. We've just
made
that. We've just made that.
We
thought we'd take you, I've got the potatoes. I'm going to show you exactly how to make it from steaming the potatoes. But while we're going to get the toppings on that pizza first, get that in the oven. Then we can talk about, we can show you exactly how to make the base, and we can also talk about a vegetarian diet. And if you go on a vegetarian diet, or you change to a vegetarian diet from your regular diet, then Hayley will tell you a few things to watch out for. So
Yeah.
we're just cutting up a few, I'm not doing anything, am I?
No, not right now.
So we've chosen for the topping here some red capsicum and some olives because they offer a nice saltiness. See, I'll do the cooking bit and she'll do the nutrition bit. Nice sort of saltiness, and some goat's cheese because we really like the creamy sharpness of the goat's cheese as well. So shall I put the tomato topping
Why not?
I just want to leave it on there.
Oh.
Can I have the whole tray over?
If you
just
must.
because otherwise I don't want to
soggy.
I don't want to be too
Soggy
cocky
bottom.
with the base and have it break at any time. So what we're going to do is I've got some homemade tomato sauce, and Hayley said to me, what did you say about the homemade tomato sauce?
It's really
Can you
yummy.
remember? Oh, yes, she did. She can't remember what she said to me.
That it's on the Cooks Collective.
It's on the Cooks Collective, but also that you said to me, don't make it too hard, Mum. Like that.
Yeah, because I mean, I want the recipe to be fairly straightforward, but this sauce
If you
is
haven't
pretty easy.
If you haven't got your own homemade tomato sauce, then some tomato paste would do, wouldn't it? But just remember that this has got, I've blitzed it up, it's got onions and garlic and some oregano in here as well. So if you've just got tomato paste, you may want to just add a little sprinkling of fresh herbs on the top if you want to. So at this stage of the game, if you wanted to just make this a margarita pizza, you just be popping some mozzarella on the top.
Yum.
And popping that in the oven. With pizza also, if you wanted to do the margarita, put your basil leaves underneath the mozzarella if you want the basil to go into the oven. If you put the basil leaves on the top, they go black and they're not very nice at all. But if you put the basil leaves on and put the cheese, a lump of cheese on the top, it'll all melt over it and just keep it nice and moist and keep
That
some
is a
flavour
top
in it.
tip. Wow.
Tracy's top tip.
I had lots of margarita pizza in Italy.
Yes, she's been away for a while. And while she's boasting about being away, I will also say thank you to everybody for joining us today, watching us. I'm in the kitchen with Hayley. She's studying nutrition at Curtin University.
Yes, I am. So that means
She can't
that
talk
I'm
and
not
cook at the same time. See how she
I know.
stopped.
I'm not a qualified nutritionist yet. My goal is to go on and do dietetics, and that's a master's, so I can do that. But I do know what I'm talking about.
She's not going to tell you any fibs. No nonsense nutrition. I think that should be your hashtag. No nonsense nutrition. Should we put some pumpkin on? I quite like it.
Yeah, I think so.
So we've got some pumpkin here as well. This isn't in the recipe, but this is one of those sort of little ones that we go, let's put this
add
on
that
as well.
So I just used a
'cause it's
mandolin
really
for that
lovely.
one, and these Moby gloves to make sure that I don't
Cut
slice
yourself.
my fingers.
That's right. And I'm going to put some of this goat's cheese on the top. So really, it's really whatever you like, really, isn't it?
I know,
on your
these are some of a
pizza.
few of my favourite things.
There's a song that goes.
Yes, there is, but
Yeah,
let's not.
Let's not. Sing.
So the
Very
potato
tempting.
that we actually used is sweet potato, and
Right.
it doesn't look orange. It's because it's a, would you call it white sweet
White
potato
sweet
or purple
potato.
sweet potato?
Well,
so,
the outside is purple, and
so it's a bit confusing, but it is sweet potato, but it's delicious.
so I'm going to pop this back in the oven now because the base is cooked. We're just going to get the top in. There we go, and it goes. It looks beautiful. Bye bye. See you in 7 to 9 minutes.
And then when that comes out, we're going to put some fresh rocket on it. Because I
I'm
love
just gonna
rocket as well.
Sit that there. Yeah, of dressing. So Hayley's going to do the potato, mash up the potato with. Are you all right to hold that?
Sure.
I could go like that. And you could just mash it into the bowl. I'm not going to fill it up because it's
Okay.
too hard to actually mash. So the potato ricer is a fantastic way of mashing potato and getting it really nice and smooth. So you can, if you haven't got a ricer, don't worry too much about that. You can use a potato masher, but it does tend to compact the potato a little bit more than actually just make sure
So
that it
how
goes
long?
all over
How
the
long
place.
did we steam the potatoes for?
All right, so we peeled the potatoes as Hayley showed you. I've got it's very sticky bits on here already. I've got we had purple skinned white sweet potato. So you can buy those from all good fruit and veggie shops, and if you can't, then you can use orange. It may be a bit wetter though, I think, the orange
Yep,
sweet
quite
potato.
possibly.
So you can actually pop some more of the dry ingredients in, which we're going to show you in a second. And I've forgotten totally where I was. So
Talking about sweet potato.
kilo of sweet potato. I love the white sweet potato. Why does everyone use orange? The white is absolutely fantastic. I suppose because it's colourful as well, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it does look quite pretty. But
Yeah. But this one is absolutely glorious. We did it a number of years ago as a dip with cumin and
I remember that.
coriander. Oh, lovely. Cumin and coriander and some yogurt folded through. Oh my gosh, it's absolutely fantastic. I believe we've got a question. Bri is on the other side of the camera
Handy
today.
dry.
Is the white less sweet than the orange?
Or
Is the white sweet potato less sweet than the orange sweet potato?
I would say they're about the same.
I would
wouldn't
say
you?
about they're the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say they're about the same.
The difference is beta carotene, so it's the color. Nutritionally, not crazily different. It's the same as like your normal potato. Lots of people say, sweet potato is better for you than normal potato. As I've mentioned before in another video, normal everyday potato, royal blue, whatever, is nutritionally not crazily different to sweet potato. But the difference between white and orange is just the color. So there's slight little vitamin changes in there, but it won't.
Beta carotene, is that good for your eyes?
For your eyes,
Is
it's
it?
B vitamins. Yeah, it's good for lots of stuff.
All right, so we've mashed the potato, and if you have got a masher like this, that's all right. That'll be absolutely
Yep.
fine. Doesn't need to be sort of super
Perfect.
smooth, does it? Either
No,
it's
no.
pizza base. So just a tip: if you do have one of the potato ricers, get it in the sink straight away, or give it a bit of a rinse out first, because the starch on the potato will stick to that, and it's a bit of a blob having to wash that up. So we're just going to set that aside for a minute, and I'm going to show you, well, Hayley can crack this egg and give that a little bit of a whisk up, and we've got all the ingredients to go into that in a second. But I'm just going to show you how to, is that in the way, Mr. Cameraman? I'm just going to show you how to make the actual pizza base itself, and we'll get one in the oven straight away. So in a minute, this will look very similar to this. So I've divided the whole pizza base ingredients into 4. We've cooked one. Here's my second one, 3, 4. And it's when it's cold as well, it's really easy to shape into a ball and just pop it onto a piece of paper, non-stick baking paper, about sort of, I don't know, 30 centimetres square, something like that. And to make a perfect round, I remember this
She's
from
really
my...
proud of this one.
I know, but I
It's
think
handy to
I
know.
think I remembered it from college days. I can't
College
remember
days.
what I did with this. But pop a chopping board on the top and press down as hard as you can. Because it's quite hard, isn't it? Press down as hard as you can, like this. You might need a man to do this. And it's almost like it...
Women
we
can do
don't
it
need a
too.
man.
No.
Oh.
Who needs... No, we do. But
All
you can
right.
do it by yourself,
So
I'm sure.
there is our pizza base. All
Ta-ta.
nice and round. All right, so I'm going to slip this into the oven. We've got the oven on at
200.
200. If you haven't got a pizza, what are they called, Bri? No, a pizza zhuzher that you put in.
Pizza
Just get
zhuzhers.
yourself a cookie tray. You know, one of those. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. Somebody might be able to tell me out there. If anyone knows, can you
anyone can
just
remember what
type
it's
it in?
called.
But if you haven't got one of those, then just use a cookie tray without the edges, and you can slide those in. I have got the trays in the oven. The oven's on at 200 degrees, so nice and hot. And this I just find is easiest. It's best to have your pizza stone or your tray in the oven already hot, because that will give it a good start.
So when we were talking about creating this recipe, we thought about the fact that it's actually gluten-free, which is becoming a bit of a buzzword. It's becoming a bit more prevalent nowadays. A lot of people are talking about gluten and what it means. Gluten itself is actually a mix of two proteins within a grain. So there's gluten and gliadin. Together they make up gluten. So some people have trouble digesting this. You can have an intolerance, or you can have celiac disease.
An allergy, yeah, which
Or
does really.
Yeah.
Well, that is an allergy, isn't it?
Yeah. So celiac disease is very serious. It can cause a lot of upset in your small intestine. It can actually start to break down the things that help your small intestine absorb nutrients. So the microvilli in there, they can start to break down and get stubby and short and really sad. So celiac disease is really, really serious. So is an intolerance. It's not as serious as a celiac disease. You will still get an upset stomach, but it's not
life-threatening.
intense.
Celiac is, you can get very,
really,
very
really
sick.
sick.
Like, you must not have gluten. So, yeah, if somebody says to you that they have celiac disease, and
they can't
do
have
not
crumbs.
have gluten.
Can't
nothing.
have crumbs, can't have anything, can't be stored in the same place as
There's
gluten.
a bit of a
It's-
stigma, isn't there? Hayley was telling me a story about somebody that she was with the other night.
A
I'm just
friend I
gonna
was
check
out
on
with for
this.
dinner had a very specific order because they have
let
diabetes and they
everyone
can't
know.
have certain things. And the waitress actually said to them, "Oh, well, at least you're not gluten free." Like, quite. It wasn't. And me sitting there being who I am, I was like, "Oh," but gluten is okay. If
we shouldn't all cut gluten out,
No.
should we?
Gluten's awesome. If you can have gluten, it's awesome. Anyone with celiac disease would probably say you're very lucky to be able to have gluten. There's nothing wrong with gluten itself. I think where that comes from is gluten's found in a lot of bread and starchy products.
A lot of packaged products that are
Therefore,
out and about
if you have a
now.
lot of packaged starchy bread, whatever, then you will put on weight because it's carbohydrates. But it's not the gluten's fault. If that makes sense.
It is.
So,
It does. You know,
Yes.
there's loads of different flours out there as well, and we could do a.
and that's
you know,
part of
a
the reason
whole
why we're
day
using
on-
almond meal.
Yeah. So instead of a flour in here to make a dough per se with yeast, etc., we've got our beautiful sweet potato. I've put about a teaspoon and a half of salt flakes on there. And we're going to put in 110 grams of almond meal or ground almonds, same thing. Hayley's beaten up an egg, so we've got our beautiful Charcoal Springs pastured eggs down from, or up from Manjimup, from Southern Forest area. And that look, I've just made a custard with it
So
earlier as
bright,
well. They're just so beautiful, aren't they? So I'll get that in with my inbuilt scraper like that. So a 59 gram egg. And the final thing, just to bring a little bit together as well, a little bit of rice flour in there. So it's all gluten free. I'm going to get a stirrer.
And I think what I was trying to say as well is that, you know, while gluten-free is a bit of a fad diet for some people, it is really serious for others. So when someone says that they're gluten-free or if they're celiac or they're intolerant, I don't think it's worth rolling your eyes or whatever, because it can be really serious for some
Now,
people.
this is a little bit wetter than the last one, isn't it?
Yeah, so maybe we
Shall
should
I
ask
get
some more. I'd add some more almond meal.
Almond meal. Yeah, I'll go and get some. I'll just go
All right.
to the almond tree and pick some almonds.
Grind them
And
down.
Yeah, no,
just
it
while
just
we're here.
needs a little bit more. So excuse me.
And we were also talking about, as Mum mentioned earlier, vegetarian diets. So the thing that you need to think about if you're going on a vegetarian diet, absolutely fine. You just need to be a bit more aware of what you're eating in terms of nutrients, because our body takes up nutrients really, really well from animal products. Iron and protein especially, we can absorb them a lot easier than plant products. So sometimes you need to be aware what is the best way to eat plant products and get the most out of that nutrient. So one really great pairing, when you're having iron, a lot of ladies out there would probably have iron deficiencies. You may have been told this, that eating vitamin C when you have iron, it can help your body absorb it more. So an example of that would be having spinach with some orange juice, or spinach with some tomatoes is a really good one. So iron is one of the major deficiencies of vegetarians. The other one is protein. I'm sure most people know that protein is found readily in animal products, steak, chicken, or you can get it in eggs. But, you know, in terms of meat, protein is a big one, so you need to be mindful of that. You can get protein via eggs, and chickpeas is a good one.
Yep.
Although I found out the other day there was a study, I got really excited about this. There was a study released, it's probably about 2 weeks ago now, that only 76% of protein in chickpeas is absorbed by our bodies. Whereas, you know, in meats, it can be up to 99%.
Yeah, so it's interesting to know how much you have to eat to get the same amount.
Yeah.
That's why we advocate a balanced diet here, but also that if you want to eat less meat, this is a fantastic alternative, isn't it?
Yeah.
This sort of pizza is a fantastic alternative.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's probably been in just about long enough, do you think?
Oh,
A little
yeah.
bit more? Touch more?
Maybe a touch
A minute?
more.
I've probably put too much wet stuff on here, I can see.
She got excited about the tomato sauce. So iron, protein, one more is B12. So that will give you similar symptoms to if you have an iron deficiency. So if a lack of B12, it can do some damage to your red blood cells. Same with iron. So you'll feel woozy, tired, that sort of thing. If that's the case, obviously go and see your doctor. But those are some of my top 3 nutrients that you need to look out for if you are choosing to have a vegetarian diet.
And, you know, I think to have that lovely, just to have a little bit of a break from meat as well on the odd occasion is a really good idea. And we've got the cheese here as well. Otherwise, of course, you can put meats on top of this pizza. We're definitely not saying
That's my
don't.
plan for tonight.
Yes.
I'm going to put some chicken on top of mine.
Add chicken on the top. So there you go. So that's the cold, and that was the just warm. Don't do it hot, because you don't want to put your egg into hot potato. But it's just a really, do you know what? When that came out, just cooked as it is, I just sort of wanted to put, I don't know, something on it and just eat it just as a bread alternative almost.
Yeah.
Like that sort of, almost like a wrap, except I think it would probably
break a little
be
bit,
a little bit
perhaps.
more, be a little bit too brittle. But if you like your, you know, pulled pork and your Mexican stuff on
yum.
that, would be really nice,
Yeah,
wouldn't
we
it?
could
Pulled
definitely
pork and
change a few things.
and salsa on there would be
Even
just
if you made a
so
smaller
delicious.
ball and just had it as a sort of soft taco sort of thing.
Yeah.
That would be really yummy.
Yeah,
as
you
well.
could do a soft taco like that. There it is. Done it already.
Ta-da.
Ta-da. So the tomato sauce recipe as well is available on the Cooks Collective. So take a look at that one. That's on our Italian obsession class with the pasta, pizza and gnocchi on there, and it's absolutely fantastic tomato sauce for your pastas as well. We'll just dress up some rocket. Is there anything else you want to tell anyone about anything? I think we've probably covered as much as we sort of need to in this particular point in time.
Yeah, I guess I'm just really passionate about intolerances and allergies. It's the same with lactose. I've heard a couple of stories of baristas rolling their eyes when they've been asked for milk alternatives like soy or almond. But of course, if I'm sure most people have a lactose intolerant friend in their life, it's not very pleasant if you're given cow's milk when you didn't ask for it.
Yeah, yeah. Not nice, hey? Not nice. All right, so we'll just toss a little bit of the rocket in some nice Cobram Estate extra virgin olive oil and some sherry vinegar, which is my favourite, but of course you can use red wine vinegar, white wine vinegar. I just really love the sharpness with the sweet potato of this topping.
Really good.
Topping that. So we're going to get our little tray out for putting our pizza on our board. All of this can be moved out of the way. We can cook those in a little while. The good thing about this as well, I reckon, is that you can cook this, like pre-cook it, the base, and then all you have to do is whip it back in the oven with the toppings on, and dinner's ready in sort of 10 minutes, isn't it?
Do you have any other ideas for toppings off the top of your head?
My favourite one is like just a plain margarita. Let's get this one out. It's a plain margarita, but I do like putting prosciutto on the top of it after it's come out. I'm not a cooking. Is it?
Prosciutto, yeah.
Well, there you go. Like mother, like daughter.
That's nice,
Who knows?
isn't it?
Let's just take this out.
I've got another question.
Yes.
With the pizza bases, you could cook them and freeze them and have them ready to go.
Could we cook and freeze the pizza bases and have them ready to go?
I think this potato may freeze better than a regular white potato brie. I haven't tried it, but do you know what I always suggest to people when they are asking questions like that is just try one at home. So if you make this amount with the kilo of sweet potatoes to make 4 of these pizzas of this size, then you can certainly pop one of them in the freezer, or even just a little wedge of one of them in the freezer. Test that out and see, a couple of days later whether you feel that it's okay to have that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, and I think on the recipe, will be up on our website very shortly, but I think on the recipe I've said less is more. And do you know what I've done? I've probably put too much topping on this. The cameraman's nodding, everyone's nodding.
It's still going to be yummy.
Yeah, so we're going to
yum. It's so lovely to hear that still crispy base. It's still got
and it'll be very, very hot. It'll be very, very hot. But
perfect.
That is an absolutely beautiful piece of pizza. I'm not going to pop that in my mouth, and I tell you, don't you pop that in your mouth either, because that's going to be really quite hot at the moment. But that's not a bad piece of pizza to eat.
For something gluten-free, it's sometimes hard to find replacements, and I think this is a really awesome one.
I know, I'd have a little bit of maybe olive oil over the top or whatever.
Sure.
But there you go. There is our gluten-free sweet potato pizza. I think the base actually looks quite like a pizza base as well. That's why we wanted to do it with the white sweet potatoes instead of the orange. And so thank you so much for watching us this week. Next week, Bryony will be behind the camera. No, in front of the camera. She's behind the camera this week. In front of the camera. And we are going to do a little leftover idea. So if you've had a roasted chicken on a Sunday or over the weekend, we're going to use leftover roasted chicken. We're going to make roasted chicken and rosemary pumpkin fritters, which would be with aioli, which would be a fab little idea to take for lunch as well.
That sounds really good.
And I'm sure the kids would love them in their lunchbox as well, because you can definitely eat those cold too. This is okay cold as well. I've eaten this cold as well. So slice this up, take it for lunch. Why not? Oh, leftovers are absolutely fantastic for lunch. So thank you, Hayley, for coming along with your no fuss nutrition advice. And I'm going to have to change your name to Nayley.
Sure.
Nayley's no fuss nutrition advice. So thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you next week. And let's have some pizza for lunch.